stole his first term as president. These absolute liars who run around trying to act like they're the protectors of democracy completely ruined it, tried to undermine it at every turn and at the highest levels with lies, with out and out lies that were really serious, and changed foreign policy and changed the course of history in this country in Trump's presidency. And there must be accountability. There has to be actual criminal accountability for those who lied. And I can't wait to see this administration.
Attitude that Obama had towards Biden. Obama thought that Biden would eventually everything up. And that's eventually actually what happened. So, but also he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly.
What happens when a former Fox News heavyweight links up with Twitter's reigning queen of clapbacks to take on Barack Obama? You don't get a debate, you get a demolition derby. Megyn Kelly and Lindi didn't just toss shade. They shut down the whole room, aiming straight at the man once treated like untouchable political royalty. This wasn't a polite, pre-scripted exchange. It was raw, unfiltered chaos, and by the end of their tag team takedown, Obama might have wished he'd extended his vacation indefinitely.
Community assessment of January 17 was set to downplay Russian interference in the 2016 election. And then after a meeting with Obama and the top intelligence community officials, or at Obama's direction at least, the intelligence community did a complete 180 and played up Russian interference instead of playing.
Barack Obama wasn't just a politician, he was packaged like luxury perfume. Sleek bottle, glossy commercials, a name whispered like it held magic, and a price tag so steep you couldn't tell if you'd bought substance or just air with a logo. For years, crowds lined up for a whiff of hope and change, proudly, wearing it like they'd snagged a rare limited edition fragrance.
I don't think Pelosi was hoping for anyone in particular, or not that I know of. I do know that Obama was carefully vetting Mark Kelly, the senator from Arizona. I know there were other names on his list. I'm not saying that Kamala Harris was necessarily at the top of the list, but he was definitely considering other candidates. I don't think she was ruled out. I just think that everyone is, a lot of people, the chieftains of the party, were hoping for a lightning round, a lightning primary. And President Biden essentially preempted that by issuing his endorsement 30 minutes after.
And neither does political myth. Obama's carefully packaged scent of hope and change has worn thin, leaving behind something far less glamorous than the glossy ads promised. And now, the unmasking is coming from an unlikely duo, Megyn Kelly, the sharp-tongued analyst, who slices through political spin with surgical precision, and Lindi, the social media firebrand who can turn a single tweet into a knockout punch. Together, they didn't just challenge the Obama legend, they cracked the bottle wide open and let the illusion evaporate.
Fuel on the fire that there's a potential, maybe a divorce or some sort of rockiness going on in the Obamas relationship. They both posted these mirrored, very choreographed Valentine's Day messages on X, but he was just seen at an LA, the basketball team. What's it called? I can't remember the name. The Clippers, thank you. Game without her. And the LA Clippers.
Then there's Lindi, the Twitter firestarter, who doesn't just roast, she incinerates reputations, with sarcasm and memes that spread faster than a celebrity scandal. Two very different voices, locked on the same target. Barack Obama. Megyn Kelly came in with her trademark precision, not ranting, not raging, just slicing clean with the calm authority of someone auditing your taxes. No theatrics required. The receipts did all the damage.
Your mom, and how soon was it after the election? Like
a week or two. When it wasn't at that point, I was just asking questions. Like, it wasn't even. I was like, what happened to the $2.5 billion we raised? Why did we spend it on Beyonce? Why did we spend 2.5? Why did we spend millions of dollars on Oprah? Like legitimate questions that needed to be answered. But the amount of hate I got for that was just overwhelming. And the final straw, the moment that I knew that I needed to leave, was actually around Christmas Eve, when the chair of the party, he's the biggest clown that the Democratic Party has ever, like, honestly,
Megyn Kelly takes a scalpel to Obama's glossy image and peels it back piece by piece, that polished branding of unity and hope. She waves it off and points to the reality inside the box. Middle families drowning in bills, foreign policy blunders that aged like spoiled milk, and a cultural divide that deepened under a man who promised to heal it. In her framing, Obama isn't the dream vacation he sold you, show up and find bedbugs, no Wi-Fi, and a dumpster blocking the ocean view. She's especially merciless on foreign policy. The so-called golden statesman left behind drone strikes, half-finished wars, and broken promises of peace. No drama Obama. Kelly flips it to no accountability Obama. Sure, he played the part of the cool, relatable president, but after leaving office, he drifted effortlessly into the billionaire bubble mansions, Netflix deals, and celebrity circles, the very elite world he once claimed to fight.
The elevation of Barack Obama was important to the left in this country. It was important to them. It was, you've made this point too, they were working something out of their own, about their own history, their own feelings, race, and so on. And factoring in, yes, point taken that Sheila is half Japanese too, but also half Dutch. So she looks white. So a white-ish ex-girlfriend fantasizing about having gay sex, that was not part of the program. That no one would have any interest in that. They only wanted to elevate the 2004 Democratic National Convention speaker. There is no black, red America. There is no blue America. There is only the red, white.
The man who once claimed to stand shoulder to shoulder with ordinary Americans is now cashing Netflix checks bigger than the GDP of small nations. There's a dark comedy in it, watching the hope and change. Icons sip champagne on private yachts while new grads drown in student debt. It's like finding out your personal trainer secretly owns a donut empire, and Kelly doesn't stop with Obama. She torches the media to blasting their tireless efforts to polish his imagery. Mistake excused, every failure spun as misunderstood genius. In her framing, the press didn't just cover Obama, they manufactured him into a brand so untouchable it bordered on cult marketing. Her punchline cuts deep. If Obama's presidency was really a golden age, why are so many Americans still shaking couch cushions for spare change?
Hate Trump, but it's just a gag. It's just a show. It's a charade. You saw Obama yucking it up with him at someone's funeral, at Jimmy Carter's funeral. Democrats pretend to hate Trump, but at the end of the day, they crave him. They're obsessed with him. They need him for their fundraising machine. They need him for their raison d'etre. Without Trump, they would have no rudder. They would be even worse off than they are. Trump is their lodestar. It's their reason for existence. They're obsessed with the man.
So they're not trying to protect themselves.
They have no other reason to exist at this point because their party is just this. It's just their party basically. It's in shambles.
Leave the polar opposite energy, where Megyn slices with scalpels. Lindi shows up with a metterer. Megyn feels like the analyst who studied the playbook for years. Lindy's the brutally honest friend lived weeding your ex's cringe dating profile. She doesn't just critique Obama, she ridicules him. The endless branding, the marathon speeches, the Hollywood glow that turned a presidency into a streaming drama. To her, Obama wasn't really a president, he was a lifestyle brand. The tailored suits, the perfect smile, the curated playlists, it was less leader of the free world and more coolest guy alive, but her sharpest blows hit the so-called progressive betrayal. The young idealists who once treated Obama like a political messiah were left with half measures and broken promises. He got the applause, the fan base, the global celebrity, but when it came to real transformation, the results fell flat. As Lindi frames it, hope quietly decayed into coping.
Oh, because when we aren't, folks think we're divorced.
Look, these are the kinds of things that I just miss, right? So I don't even know this stuff's going on.
Right.
And then somebody will mention it to me, and I'm all like, what are you talking about?
People think that they're on the outs because they're not always in the same room together, Maureen. That's what she would like people to believe. Like, she had, what, 1 or 2 public appearances without him, and that's what led to the divorce speculation. That's not quite it, my dear. It's, what are the things? Oh, your words. It's your words that led us to believe you can't stand.
Living on social media, her critiques come packaged with meme-level savagery. Obama's slogans get twisted into punchlines, his promises flipped into GIF-worthy mockery. That's soaring, yes we can energy. Lindi drags it down to a weary, well, we tried. She paints his legacy like a PowerPoint presentation with too many unfinished slides. Where Megyn Kelly dissects Lindi Leadham, and yet, Their different styles blend into the same conclusion. Obama wasn't the flawless leader people still worship. He was a carefully packaged brand. The scalpel and the sledgehammer both rip through the wrapping paper. That's what makes this takedown so compelling. Kelly delivers the intellectual breakdown, facts, numbers, inconsistencies. Lee brings the cultural ridicule vibes, betrayal, and the revelation that the emperor has no clothes. Together, they strip away the myth until Obama's image looks less like a monument and more like a deflated birthday balloon nobody bothered to clean up. And here's the real kicker. They're not even coming from the same political lane. Kelly leans conservative, Lee is progressive. Normally, they'd be sparring across enemy lines, but the fact that both unload on Obama creates a bizarre, almost bipartisan alliance. It's like watching a cat and a dog team up to rob a butcher shop. Different tactics, same outcome. Total carnage.
Obama. He was elected when I was 17 years old, so I was fully indoctrinated. I went to Princeton. It's like a very, very liberal bastion. Being a conservative there was a blemish. You just couldn't. I can think of like 2 conservatives, 2 Republicans. It was just not a thing you could do. It was the age of Obama. People were enthralled by him. So it wasn't an option to be a Democrat. I actually didn't realize until recently that I could be a Republican. And let me remind you, I live in Philadelphia, where there's this 8-to-1 voter registration difference. It's not okay to be a Republican. You're awesome.
And that's what makes this double strike so brutal. Obama isn't just taking fire from the right where you'd expect it, he's catching heat from the left, too. The very corner where his support was supposed to be bulletproof, when both ends of the spectrum are swinging. You're not a unifier anymore, you're the piñata at the world's angriest party. 2 critics from totally different worlds should have produced chaos. Instead, it became something twisted duet, the scalpel and the sledgehammer, harmonizing just enough to eclipse Obama's once untouchable brand. Megyn Kelly sets the tone with courtroom precision. Her critique isn't gossip or cheap shots, it's methodical, airtight, impossible to ignore. She asks the question that cuts deeper than scandal. How do you stand before struggling middle-class families, preaching hope and sacrifice, and then waltz out of office to rake in more Netflix money than a Marvel franchise?
Michelle's at this end of the table. Obama's all the way over here at this end, and brother Craig is between them like a mediator, like a marriage counselor.
So
if they're
true.
really still in love and together and not getting a divorce, why aren't they seated next to each other?
It's true. And like, why the instant affectation? You know, like, oh, my man. And like, she doubles down in the following clip. It's just over the top. And
Kelly doesn't even need to raise her tone to make the case. Then Lindi barges in, tossing gasoline on the fire. Where Kelly talks about corporate coziness, Lindi translates it into Twitter speak. Obama cashed out faster than a lottery winner who knows the cousins are coming. She ridicules the book deals, the Netflix empire, the estates, the yacht vacations, not as subtle hypocrisy but as billboard-sized irony you could print on a t-shirt and sell at a Bernie rally. That's the rhythm of this takedown. Kelly builds the case with logic. Lindi detonates it with laughter. One works the body shots, the other goes straight for the knockout. And when Lindi turns her fire on the media, the roast gets even sharper, mocking reporters as national-level fangirls who didn't just cover Obama but swooned like teenagers at a pop concert. Glow sticks in hand, cheering through foreign policy briefings. It's absurd, but that's her lane and she thrives in it.
People say it was Obama's 3rd term. There's rumors of, and these are friends of mine that are moderate Democrats say that they thought it was Elizabeth Warren running it. They thought it was Bernie Sanders running it. But I think the general consensus, I think if you asked, the majority of the population, they think it was Obama's 3rd term.
It was for sure Obama's 3rd term. I don't think that's even a question. I don't think anyone, it definitely was. And that's why you saw Obama.
As always, brings receipts. She lays out the double standard with cold precision, how every other president gets grilled and dragged through their failures, while Obama slid through controversies like he was wrapped in Teflon, drone strikes, downplayed, economic disappointments, excused, cultural divides reframed as complex. She doesn't need volume. The silence after her points does the damage. Then Lindi piles on, weaponizing exaggeration for maximum punch. She jokes that Obama could waltz into a press briefing in Crocs and a Snuggie and the press corps would gush about his bold reinvention of presidential confidence. It's ridiculous, it's comedic, but it sticks. because it exposes just how desperate the media was to guard his myth. And that's when the takedown turns lethal. Their critiques don't collide, they fuse. Kelly cuts from the right, Lindi scorches from the left, and the impact lands dead center. The sting isn't partisans, the realization that Obama's image is unraveling, because both sides are finally tugging the same thread.
Of Barack Obama, he decided to drop a post on X today, and I thought, okay, maybe in the wake of the Pete Hegseth presser, he's going to say something like, no matter how you feel about the Iranian strike, hats off to our, boys in blue, our guys in the bombers. He went a different way. This is what it was.
Curious how you're thinking about this eulogy specifically in the moment and all the tensions that you just brought out.
I didn't even want to talk. I was so mad. Part of the reason.
When voices from opposite ends of the political universe suddenly harmonize, you know the story doesn't hold. It's like watching a magician finally get exposed. Years of applause for sleight of hand, only for Kelly to point out the trapdoors while Lindi yells from the back, and the rabbit's fake, too. The illusion cracks, and the audience realizes they paid premium prices for smoke and mirrors. And this isn't just history. Obama may be out of office, but his shadow still looms, the quiet hand behind the curtain. The mentor whispering in Democratic ears, the brand still stamped across the party. But if Kelly and Lee are blasting holes through that brand, what happens when the packaging
fourth term? He's fighting for his own legacy. The relationship between Obama and Biden is most reminiscent of that between LBJ and JFK. JFK had little respect for Lyndon B. Johnson, but he picked him anyway because he wanted to win the South. He wanted to win Texas. But he had very little respect for LBJ's intellect. JFK was surrounded by his Harvard brain trust, and he had immense disdain for LBJ's Texas Hill Country vibe. And
when voices from opposite ends of the political universe suddenly harmonize, you know the story doesn't hold. It's like watching a magician finally get exposed. Years of applause for sleight of hand, only for Kelly to point out the trapdoors while Lindi yells from the back, and the rabbit's fake, too. The illusion cracks, and the audience realizes they paid premium prices for smoke and mirrors. And this isn't just history. Obama may be out of office, but his shadow still looms, the quiet hand behind the curtain.